and grateful that he is giving us some of his time on this busy Monday. They are off today. They're going to have a light practice tomorrow, and then cage work tomorrow, light practice on Wednesday, and then off to the races. He's in.
He's in.
Okay. We're not going to go through the rest of the Heineken headlines. We're gonna get right to the man of the hour. Coach Jay Johnson is back on the show. Coach, thank you for joining us. I appreciate your time as always. Congratulations on a great run. Obviously, I know y'all wanted to come through and win in the championship game, but you've got to be excited about how the boys responded. Obviously, you kind of felt like they were playing good baseball going into the SEC tournament. They faced Georgia, who is one of the hottest teams in the SEC or in the country. Kentucky, one of the hottest teams in the country, top 5 team. South Carolina, who's trying to do the same things that y'all are doing, and they're able to fight through adversity and make it all the way to the championship game with a chance to win at the end. You've got to be happy with the ways they're playing and going into the postseason baseball.
Yeah, for sure. Really proud of the team. Great effort in Hoover, and really, really excited about what's to come here with the NCAA tournament. Very deserving. Our team very deserving of being in the NCAA tournament, being a number 2 seed, and it's funny when you put the whole body of work together. There's 40 wins on the board, and considering where we were a month and a half ago, players deserve a lot of credit for that.
Coach, you talk about a month and a half.
You deserve a lot of credit for that.
You talk
Thank
about
you.
Yeah, there you go. You do. You deserve a lot of credit for that. Obviously, we've talked to you, over the course of this last, year, month and a half. Y'all are 3-12 in conference. Obviously, that's very well documented. You saw things though that, being around baseball, us seeing it, you obviously being around them every day. You saw things in that 3-12 start that gave you a lot of confidence moving forward. It was just a matter of, hey, are they going to do it in time and get hot enough in time to be able to make it to the postseason? And then that back half stretch of the season of the SEC, every week it felt like it got better and better and better, which culminated in to me, your best weekend of the year, not just because you swept them, but how you performed. Even at Alabama, you didn't win the series, but y'all played really well. And then you take that sweep against Ole Miss, and you go into the SEC tournament against the top teams in the country, and you do what I know that you knew that y'all are capable of doing from day one. What changed? I know y'all are positive and y'all are doing these types of things, but in these runs, guys needed to step up that maybe people weren't expecting them to step up. What did you see in the last month of the season?
Or didn't see
in the last month of the season that really makes you feel good about where y'all are right now?
Yeah, I just think the players deserve a lot of credit for staying with it. I think it would have been very easy to pack it in. We've seen, when you're at a good program or a team that's supposed to be good all the time, that time where things are going bad, you learn a lot about, the people, in your organization or on your team. And these guys just kept going to work. I mean, it started with a very simple 6-3 win on a Tuesday night against University of New Orleans. And the bullpen, getting us some shutdown innings or getting us off the field with runners on base and somebody kind of coming through and getting that big hit. Then it turned into a dominating performance on Friday night at Missouri. And then we lost another one of those kind of close games. How do you respond and find a way to finish and win the series? We did. And then we put together another good Tuesday. And then Auburn at home, was really the first week that both Gage and Luke pitched great collectively, and now you have another series win under your belt. And then they went and did it again against A&M. So I think we just kind of found our stride, found a formula, settled down, played with confidence, and we have talented players, and we have good coaches. And once we kind of broke past that waiting for something to go wrong and just kind of attack what we needed to do in the game, we became a much better team, and the results obviously reflected that.
Coach, I'm very much in the camp of the best way to learn how to win championships is to win championships. And then obviously there hasn't been a championship won this year, but that doesn't stop it. Like I said, that's to me the best way. It's not the only way. It's not the only way to cook, and it's not the only way to go. You go through a tournament, you go through a stretch like you just had. Obviously, you end the regular season really good. You play great through the tournament, and then you have a pivotal point to – there's certain things that happen during the year to where I don't care how many conversations you have about it. I don't care how much you stress it in practice and in work sessions that you can never duplicate how it actually plays out on the field. When you have a situation like that happened in I believe the 5th or the 6th inning with Milam at first base, where we could talk about this 100 times, dude. Never as amplified, and players, whether they're a freshman or a fifth-year senior, never look at it as serious until it actually happens in the game, whether it's an out or a safe call. I personally think that play right there, win, lose, draw, doesn't matter how that game ended, but that play is such a teaching point to your team about minute points and small situations that can swing a game. Are you under the camp to thinking that, not necessarily because of the outcome of the game, but being able to use that situation to tell players like, hey, this is what we've been preaching. These are the spots we've been preaching all year, that in games, if you let them slip by, they end up becoming big things. And we're at a point right now where you guys feel good about yourself, but you have a lot to play for in front of you. Don't overlook that situation, and let's use that for our good going forward.
Yeah, 100%. And at this point, that play in that game is over and cannot be recouped. So, we kind of have a saying, or I have a saying, is like, not to waste any type of failure or learning opportunity. And honestly, it was a big play in the game. It definitely mattered in terms of the result. If Ethan Fry punches a 2-run single there, the game's tied, and then obviously we put a couple runs up in the 9th inning, it's a different game. And but we can't. You learn from it. And I'll credit Stephen Milam for getting us in the position that we were to begin with, in terms of how well he played in Hoover all week. And he's a baseball guy, so that's a big time learning opportunity. There's other responsibility in that too, in terms of us as coaches and making sure that doesn't happen. And we got to do a better job in those spots. And I think that we have, and that's why we've won. But we didn't. And when you're playing the number 1 team in the country, you can't make it out on the bases, when you finally put pressure on them, really for the first time all game. And that's really how we look at it happen. And now let's learn from it and move forward.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I bring it up, is not to highlight a wrong by Milam. And that's why I also bring the point to, it could be a freshman or it could be a 5th-year senior. It's really hard when you have a not necessarily young, but more so inexperienced team, for them to understand that 3 or 4 weeks through the season. But when it happens at a point like that, at a team that's done what Tennessee's done, not even just this year, over the past couple years, I think teams, oh my God, it becomes like that's real now. Okay, I understand what you've been trying to tell us when we were playing such and such team or this or that team. And that point coming at this point of the season when you're playing well, so you feel good, and it happens in that situation against the team that it happens against, it's a, wow, okay, he wasn't lying, that's real. Let's make sure we never drop those moments when they happen in the 4th or in the 6th or in the 3rd or in the 8th or whatever it is, Yeah,
it's crazy. And this weekend definitely felt like this. These games are so long, especially as you get deeper into the tournament, and pitching starting to fall off a little bit for each team that you're playing, that you can overcome a mistake like that. And that's a big part of being a winner, is how do you respond when something goes poorly. But part of being a championship team is maximizing your opportunities. And that was just a situation where we took an opportunity away from ourselves. Now, we still needed a hit because there was 2 outs, but Ethan got a big hit the day before, and I pinch hit him right there, feeling very good about what he could do. Now, the positive from it is that was a gut punch play, and we did lose the game by 1 run, so it was very meaningful. But we were able to stay with the game, get off the field a couple times, and give ourselves a chance with getting within 1 run, and then having the tying run and scoring position with 2 cracks to get them in the 9th. And so that'll be the positive. That'll be, my takeaway from the SEC tournament is we either played great and ran away from somebody, or we took some severe body blows and kept playing and found ways to win those other 2 games. Right. And this time of year, that has a ton of value. To your point, if you're fundamentally sound and you have those 2 things going for you, you're really to beat.
You talked about when you make these deep runs, right? Everybody's exhausted with pitching. sometimes when you get in those situations, guys step up and you see the type of player probably you've seen for all along, but you just need to see him do it. You see these guys kind of step up and take that opportunity and run with it. And I felt like you saw that this week, right? You had to have a lot of pitchers step up and do different things that they haven't been doing through the course of the year in order to make that type of run. And you're probably going to need at some point in the postseason to continue that run into the World Series. Who are some of the guys, you saw Kate Anderson go back-to-back days and look good, put himself in trouble in his first two guys, and then figured it out and dominated the rest of this time he was out there. You saw obviously Christian Little went down, but he's been pitching well. Ulloa is throwing well. You have guys, Sam Dutton gave you some good innings. So you had a bunch of these guys step up when you needed to. Going into the postseason, who is someone that you've seen that you're going to, I guess through the course of this week that you are happy to see and that you're going to probably rely on moving forward?
Yeah, good question. And I'm really pleased with how we pitched. Obviously Gage and Luke threw well. They've been throwing well for a long time collectively. Right. And then, use two of your better guys those first two days. I mean, there's two national seeds today that we beat handily, like 9-1 and 11-0. Griffin and Gavin came in and closed those games out. And then we gave up some runs in those South Carolina games, but at the back end of the game, we were able to get zeros, Justin Lohr and Fidel Ulloa in that first win against South Carolina. And then, Sam Dutton, Will Helmers, Kate Anderson. And then we were able to get the ball back to Gavin and Griffin and, kept them off the scoreboard to overcome an 8-run deficit, which was awesome. So, I think I'd be leaving somebody out if I said I said anybody in particular. I feel like the SEC tournament and the success that some of those guys had is going to really position us very well for this weekend. And this is the weekend that it matters the most, because this is where you get tested if you end up, in a loser's bracket or elimination game. You're going to need guys to step up.
Coach, I got two names that I want to bring up that I feel like it almost feels like night in and night out. If you just study a box score, if you don't really watch the game, if you don't really see what they do, it's really easy to look over how impactful they are to the team. Can you just talk about what it's meant being able to plug in a Braswell and a Milazzo into the lineup, and what exactly do they bring to this particular squad?
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked. I thought Michael was one of the best players on the field for all 11 teams over the course of the week in Hoover. And that's not me being I think he made the all-tournament team. If he didn't, he should have.
He did, yeah.
I had a lot on my mind there at the end of that game. But he played really, really well. And on top of that, on the offensive side, you want to get guys on base in front of Tommy and Jared. He's providing a ton of really good at-bats, and he's kind of taking advantage of hitting in front of those guys, as well as anybody has all year. And I really like seeing him come up to the plate, to be honest with you right now. On defense, he's really shored himself up. That tournament was a grind, 5 days in a row, especially playing shortstop. We played, parts of all 5 games, in the daytime, and it was warm, but he played really good defense. He only made 1 error on the week, made some really nice plays, commanded the field really, really well. And so to have a guy at a position as important as shortstop playing with the confidence that Michael is right now, that's a huge lift to our team. And then with Alex, I mean, it's pretty simple. Like we've pitched better since he's played a little bit more. We're just not giving up runs nearly as much. And, the catcher plays some part in that. And then early in the week, I mean, he was elite at, moving the ball, with runners on base when we needed to, and did a great job. And it's obviously, our program and being successful is super important to him. And, bringing a lot to the table here, recently. And those two are a big reason we're winning.
Coach, you've been asked this
has another year or no?
7 million times probably since it happened. It didn't matter, won the game, walk off. And I'm not getting. Don't get in trouble. You can
I do.
Plead the fifth, whatever. What the hell happened? I'm still trying to figure out, exactly. And honestly, I'm not the only one. KP, all the whole Booth.
Everybody that watched the game.
Was
Have you
kinda
seen that
confused.
play before?
Yeah. Have you seen it? What
I've
happened?
I've never seen it before. Number one.
You didn't get to see a lot of it either.
I'll tell you, like the rules part of it is like it's something I'm constantly trying to make sure I'm a step ahead in all of those things. Our staff is really good at helping us out, and I didn't question, the rule per se. What I questioned is, okay, it's a non-reviewable play, first and foremost.
Right.
Okay. Secondly, there's 4 umpires on the field that didn't see it. Thirdly, South Carolina took the field. Their pitcher was in their warm-up pitches and then came out and basically told them that they missed the call. Well, how do you know if you missed the call if you didn't see it to begin with? So then my part was like, well, wait a minute. Like, should we just have 4 dudes that come out of their dugout and just umpire this game? And
that's what got you tossed?
no, that's not what got me tossed.
You said something a little stronger. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
No, that's not what got. But that was like, wait a minute. So we're taking a non-reviewable play that our opponent is basically telling you guys missed, yet none of you saw it to begin with. And it's not reviewable, but now we're going to change the call based on what they came out and said.
Right.
Like I didn't love that. And then I went backwards. I went backwards with some things in the game. And I didn't feel like what I said warranted being ejected, and that was my main. And I don't think that it did to this day, but you know what? It's part of the game.
Yep.
It worked.
I didn't like. Well, I did. Yes, that's actually the first time in my career that I've been ejected that we've actually won the game.
There you go.
So I'm super proud of the team for that, and that was a big moment. That was a big moment in our season, and I'll remember that for the rest of my life. And I will say, like, we have great umpires in the SEC. It's the best, as it should be, because the players are the best, all the teams are the best, the environments are the best, the coaches are the best. So we should have the best umpires, and I do think they do a really good job. And I really want to move on from that topic because there was so much more to the week than that play. I think the story is our guys overcoming the 8-run deficit and then overcoming that situation and finding a way to win. I will tell you the funniest part of the whole deal was, I'm up in the tunnel, I way up in the tunnel. Like, I don't want to get suspended. Like, I don't want any drama. It's like, hey, man, let's get out of here if we're going to lose or whatever. And so I didn't really have a good feel of what was going on the field. I knew that we had gotten the leadoff guy on base. And then Milam hits the homer, and a staff member, not a coach, a staff member walked up the tunnel and goes, hey, walk-off home run. And literally just said it. They weren't even excited. It
was Mongo. It was 100% Mongo that told it to you.
Hey, you said it. He just goes walk off home run, and then I had so many thoughts going on. I had to go for a second. Like, wait a minute, we're the home team, right?
Coach, look,
I started to I was like, there's no way I'm missing this. Like, I started to run out there, and then some kind of part of my brain went okay, wait a minute, I cannot get suspended. So let's make sure it's actually okay for me to go out there. And then this guy that was the best, one of the tournament reps, got on the phone immediately and was like, okay, now you're good. And then, man, I couldn't wait to get out there and be with the team.
I don't want to. This is my last question about it. It's obviously in a different realm. I'm going to ask this question, but for somebody that I would imagine as a head coach, as a leader of young men, you spend a large portion of your life trying to teach kids how to manage emotions and how to manage situations. For a situation that, like you talked about, 8-0 lead to start the game, you get tossed from the game, you have a crazy play like that happens, then you flip it over and there's a 3-2 bases leadoff walk that kind of happens off of a technicality as well. And then 2 pitches later to the big game being over. What's the conversation when you go back out to talking to the team? Because they, in a situation where all that stuff happens, didn't really get to see crazy management of emotions. but they know where your heart is in those situations. How do you have that conversation with them?
Oh, it was great. I was just like, hey, man, let's take a picture and get the out of here. We'll talk at the hotel. It was awesome. But you're right, Jared. Like, this whole season has been about growing up, for our team. And, it's a game that we wouldn't have won early in the season. And I think that's what I'm the most proud of, because they did manage their emotions, were able to focus enough, and to drive the count to 3-2. And you know what? With that play, maybe it was just the baseball gods like giving us a little bit of good fortune to balance it out. And then, Steven, hitting a home run. That was awesome. I'll remember that game for the rest of my career. I mean, you start coaching long enough and coach so many games, like some of them start to get away from you. I'll never forget that game, and super proud of our team. Because that's a game we might not have won earlier in the season.
Coach, fast forward now, moving forward to the postseason. Y'all got matched up with North Carolina. You obviously have North Carolina, Wofford, and Long Island in the regional. Y'all are the 2 seed going up to Chapel Hill. Obviously you're not playing North Carolina the first game. You're playing Wofford the first game, and they are a challenge in their own right. They swing the sticks. They have a really good number 1 starter who has the ability to shut teams down. What are you telling the guys this week? What's the mindset moving forward? And, what's the schedule? You're going to get there, I'm assuming, probably on Wednesday, and then you have a couple practices or whatever, and then the weekend starts on Friday. What's the conversation leading up to the regional?
Yeah, I think this morning's about, celebrating, making the NCAA tournament. And I think it's actually a little bit more meaningful this year for a couple reasons. The last 2 national champions from our league did not make it. I mean, didn't even make the SEC tournament. And we were not in a great position, a month ago or a month and 10 days ago ourselves. And to respond the way that they did, to put us in this position, like, I wanted them to enjoy, like, today. Like, hey, man, we're in the postseason. You guys earned that. Then it became about, all right, we just, emptied the tank, frankly, for 5 days out there and played competitive baseball and successful competitive baseball against the best teams in the country. We saw that with how the national seeds played out. So I wanted them to go home and rest and get in the training room today. Tomorrow, we will get back in the weight room, and we will have the pitchers, throw that need to throw. And then we'll probably stay inside and hit. And what I'm trying to kind of simulate is, a lot of times recently teams have come out of the SEC tournament a little early, and that rest has really helped them. So I don't think we need a ton of reps. Right. We didn't need them today. I don't think we need a ton of reps tomorrow. We need to get completely recovered physically and mentally. Then it also gives us as a staff the time to get prepared for the first opponent. Wednesday around 11, we'll practice here, and we'll have a regular practice, to make sure we're dialed in for the things and the challenges that the opponent presents. Shower, eat, then we'll get on the plane, fly out there, have a great dinner, and then do the on-site practice on Thursday, and then we have the first game at noon on Friday, which I like that. I like that a lot, especially coming off of what we just did in the SEC tournament. And then you're into it, and then it's like, no matter what happens, win, lose, or draw, you got to move on after the next day. I mean, it's fun to be excited. It's postseason baseball, but you always just have to move on to the next thing, whether it's the next pitch, the next inning, certainly the next game. And I think this last weekend will be very valuable for us in preparing us for what's to come.
Coach, when you get to the regional, when you get to a super regional, it's much like the regular season when you play a weekend series. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you have a 3-game series against the same team. A regional is a little different. You had 2, tournaments early in the season, similar to regional, where you have multiple teams in the same, same stadium. Pitching and strategy really come into play in these types of tournaments, regional tournaments, where you have the best team, quote unquote, best team hosting it. You don't necessarily play in the first game. How important and how, blessed do you feel to have 2 aces to where it really makes that decision, pretty simple? It's like, hey, I got ace 1 and ace 2. It doesn't really matter. One's going to throw a game 1, one's going to throw a game 2, and I feel comfortable with both those guys on the mound.
It really helps. And, I've always known pitching is what wins and loses. Success starts and ends on the mound, and I've been on a good run here, there at the end of Arizona. And then last year, obviously, with Paul, so in 21, we had Chase Silseth. It was our Friday guy at Arizona, who was already in the big leagues. I mean, he was the first guy from the 21 draft to make it to the big leagues. And Garrett Irvin, who was a great college pitcher. And then last year, obviously, we had Paul and Ty. Kind of going into this year, it was just like, man, that 1 and 2 thing, man, it's important, but it's like really important. And knowing we were losing those guys, we had to try to go get 2 that we knew were going to be good, and got some good fortune to get both of them. And the NCAA tournament is what you have in mind, and this weekend is what you have in mind when you're able to assemble that, and then for them to post and perform well the way that they have, especially over the back half of the schedule here, it does feel good. It allows us flexibility to basically do whatever we want to do. And I'm looking forward to, we're kind of still working through that here. Started looking at Wofford pretty intensely today, and they're a really good team. I mean, they have a bunch of stolen bases. They're really good at handling the bat bunting. They can hit some homers. Their offensive numbers are really, really good. To have a guy that can, pitch well against a good team, which all these teams are, that's really important.
Coach, I got 2 for you real quick. Just, I feel like he hasn't got maybe the unsung hero of the team a little bit is Will Helmers. I just wanted you to give you the floor a little bit to see what he did in that South Carolina game and to see him kind of be that guy, whether it be in the dugout or just kind of a camaraderie guy, then come out and pitch. I would say back, 2 out of 3 games where he came in where he was absolutely nails. I just wanted to give you the floor a little bit for somebody that's been there the entire time and somebody that kept you in the fight a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. And it was really cool after the game coming back out and being with the guys, and everybody was so excited. And then I kind of was walking back to the dugout, and he was kind of walking back to the dugout. I was able to go hey man, we won that game because of you. And as a coach, when somebody like Will positively impacts an important game like that, it's the best feeling in the world, because for 4 years, that guy's never made it about himself. He's just made it about the team. And he has so much pride in playing here. And he's such a good leader. And it matters so much to him. I'm very thankful for him. And it's just double the joy, personally, when a player like that goes out and performs in a way to win. Not just a win, but win on that stage. And then he did a great job yesterday, too. I mean, that's a tough lineup, man. They are really, really good. And he got us an inning and a third and gave us that chance, to come back in the 9th inning and be, base hit away from tying it and getting Griffin in the ball game. So really, really great couple days for Will. And, those are games I know he'll remember. And more importantly, it definitely helps us look at factoring him into what we're doing this weekend.
Yep. Yeah, Coach, even going back to when you were announced as the head coach at LSU, you mentioned how much this job could have potentially meant to you, and then it was obviously the job that you got. Was that your kind of, I guess, come to Jesus for LSU baseball, going down 8-0, and then coming back and you see all of it happen, and it goes from, if you go all the way back to a rally possum for LSU to what's happened when I think these guys won 26 straight in gold jerseys, was that your kind of, okay, this is what happens when it's LSU baseball?
Well, I would hope lifting that national championship.
Yeah, right. Well, I know that. Well, you have the DAC stacked. Come on. Yeah, come on. But for this year and this team, I will tell you this, and we're not even close to done yet. And I told them that on senior day, look, we're going to honor these guys, but I always have a hard time with senior day because I always feel like we have so much in front of us. And I was right. That we still have so much in front of us. But like I said, that'll be a game I'll always remember. Obviously, I really wish we won that game. I know that tournament's important to our program, and we have a great history in that tournament. But I'll always remember how our guys competed throughout that week and put themselves in the position that we are now, which is a chance to, we're 5 wins away from the College World Series. We're 10 wins away from a national championship. There's 265 teams that are having exit meetings today and moving on to summer baseball. And we're not one of them. And I know that's what we're supposed to do here. But for this team to be at 40 wins, 2 seed in the NCAA tournament, playing great, everything in front of them, 5 wins from Omaha, 10 wins from a national championship is really awesome. So in the context of this, yeah, that game was awesome. And like I said, I lost my mind with excitement a little bit there on Saturday, and it was awesome.
Coach, the last thing I got for you is for, let's say, the casual fan that doesn't actually bleed purple and gold. When you're looking at a Wofford or a Long Island or obviously a North Carolina, what are they looking at an opponents for, whoever it – obviously you've looked at Wofford a little bit more extensively already, but what are they looking at and what should they be looking for when it comes to those being the opponents that you guys are possibly going to play to be able to move on to the next weekend?
Yeah, for sure. Wofford is a really balanced offensive team, and they've had this kind of identity for a long time of stealing bases. Like, that's one of their things. They want to lead the country in stolen bases. They do a great job with the bunting game. They can drive the baseball. They have really good numbers at the top of their lineup for sure. They have a real good pitcher, and my hat's off to him. He basically threw 6 2/3 inning on Wednesday, and then came back and threw 7 innings on Sunday for them to win the conference championship and be in the NCAA tournament. Now, they might have been anyways with the at-large bid, but that's a stud effort from that pitcher. And they've won a lot lately. They've been a perennial 40-win team, that type of thing. So should be a confident group. North Carolina, I think one of the best teams in the country, wire to wire from opening day till now and in the postseason. Really good starting pitching, really physical offense, and probably the separator is they have a really, really good bullpen. They can match up a little bit. So, what I would explain, and I have not looked at them at all yet, I will start in on that here over the next couple of days, is they're going to probably have some familiarity in terms of being like some of the teams that we've played, be it at Tennessee, in Arkansas, Texas A&M, Kentucky, those real top tier teams. And then when you look at Long Island, I have not looked at them yet either. I will tell you, I did notice, like, when they show the bracket and then they show the team that they're talking about, like those guys were so fired up to be in the NCAA tournament, like it fired me up. You know what I mean? So, they're going to play hard and make the most of that opportunity. And I know they do have a really good number one pitcher as well. So, should be a good bracket, and excited to go take it on.
Well, Coach, we're excited to watch. I'd like to try to make it up to Chapel Hill. I spent some time up in that area. It's beautiful. It's a great spot. It's a great spot to celebrate after you win a regional. What? Why are you laughing at me, Luke?
I just don't know what you did there.
No.
I'm just saying, what do you mean you're going to try to get there? You either get there or you don't.
Well,
That's what I'm saying, Coach.
Ooh, get him!
Listen,
you.
I have to move some things around with my employer, my current employer,
Okay.
see if I can make it there. That's why I said try.
Coach, I'm free.
I'll be watching it regardless if I'm there or not there. I'll be watching it. Good luck. They don't come out with the umpires. I don't know if Derek's going to be there. Me and you have a conversation. Me and you have a familiarity with Derek. He threw me out for the first time in my career in AA.
in Chapel Hill.
So actually in Durham. No, I wasn't in Durham. That's AAA.
AAA. He's lying. That's AAA.
I was in Montgomery.
That whole conversation was a lie.
I just feel like we have a really good record with you guys in attendance.
No, you're
I'm trying
right.
to motivate you to keep that going for me.
Okay, I like that. We'll be there. We'll be there.
Coach, you
right.
leave the tickets to 5-0 whenever they come.
Good luck, Coach. Thanks for coming on. We'll talk to you again after you win.
Talk to you there.
All right, guys.
All right, bye.